Brenton, while you were speaking, I just, in our weekly tactical meeting actually recently, my team and I committed to exactly that, and we all got our post-it notes out and stuck it on our screens, which says, should I be doing this? So that's the reminder every time we look at the screen, and that's in the spirit of what Ed said, we need to change our thinking. It's not what we do, it's what we're thinking before we even do anything. Should we be doing it? So that's helping us.
Absolutely. And it comes back to, it's not obvious that we aren't massive fans of Stephen Covey much, but if the principles work, the principles work. So we always fall back on them. But going to another one of Stephen's principles is stopping to sharpen the saw, Ed, which is a mindset shift. Most of the practice owners who actually leave Wize Pulse, their reasoning for it is, I really like the content and the resources, I just don't have time. And that mentality of not stopping to sharpen the saw is a big thing. Anything to comment on that?
Yeah, a very good example of that is that you're so busy doing work, or he uses an example of you're really busy chopping trees down in this forest, and then if you don't look at the top, you might be in the wrong forest. And you're busy chopping the forest away, or you're climbing this ladder to get to the top, but you've got the ladder leaning on the wrong wall. So you've got to make sure that it's leaning on the right wall. And he uses this other example where there's this man who's cutting a piece of timber, and the saw was blunt, and he's working really hard, sweating and just working really hard trying to cut this bit of timber because the saw was blunt. And then someone comes up to him and says, why don't you stop for 5 minutes and sharpen the saw? And he says, I haven't got time. I've just got so much work to do. So stop and sharpen the saw, which is work on the business, and make sure the ladder is leaning on the right wall, because you could spend all your life working and then it's leaning on the wrong wall, meaning that, if you're working really hard and just doing all the P&L stuff, working in your business, then when you're 65, you're still working in the business, doing all the hard work, because that ladder is leaning on the wrong wall. And so make sure you look at the big picture and what's important. And what's important is invest in your balance sheet. And it's no different to you telling your clients, you've got to invest, in super, in property, in shares, because when you retire, you want your money to be working for you. And we don't do that ourselves. We're busy, in quad A or in the first working really hard in our P&L, and we don't look at investing into our balance sheet, which is training our staff, putting in systems, looking at the big picture, and investing in time in the balance sheet, not just working in the P&L.
Mick, you had another comment there that you wanted to share? Yeah,
just following on from what Ed's saying, in this day and age, we're very fortunate to have the technology that we have, and the easiest way to sharpen the most effective way to sharpen the saw. So A, you're sharpening the saw, and B, you're working in quad 2, is record any trainings that you do. If you want somebody else to do something, show them once and record it, and you'll never have to show them again. So that's a huge advantage for us in this day and age. I'm sure Ed would have liked that a few decades ago. I won't say how many, when he was probably dictating steps to someone in admin, for example, to create a checklist.
Yes, the internet wasn't around before the Second World War.
Don't look a day over 21, I tell you. It
must be my Logicam. It makes me look younger. Yeah.
A lot of money in that Logicam.
That's right.
It makes it. I agree with you there, Mick, as well. And one of the challenge or the objections we get there is not so much an objection. Sorry, it's another mindset shift. Is success over perfection with stuff like that. We tend to get into this mentality of, we'll do training videos when we've got time to do them nice, we can produce them nice, and they'll all be perfect, but that never gets done then. And as you say there, Mick, it's paralysis by analysis. Whereas if we're training on the go and we're recording that training and we're getting it into a centralized intranet system of some form, then it's there, it's done, it's already there. So, you know, looking at it from that angle as opposed to wanting everything to be perfect is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, I guess depending on where you are in the business cycle, you know, so if you're very small and you're starting out, you're obviously going to have different challenges to if you're a larger firm moving forward, but the principles are the same. So if you're a smaller firm, you'll have a foot in each of those boxes, division from 1 to 7, you might hold all 7 divisions, but the principle is the same as you're moving forward, is to replace yourself as your business is growing. So you need to do it slowly in conjunction with the cash flow that's coming through. So you can't just go cold turkey and hire, you know, 5 people. So you need to withdraw slowly. So if you're in production, you know, you still have to do production until you've got someone to do production, and then you step away from it. You manage your withdrawal journey together with your cash flow. So it's important that you do both at the same time, because, you know, if you don't, you're going to end up, you know, in trouble from a cash flow point of view. But it's really, I find that that's not the issue. The biggest issue is the change in mindset for most firms. It's changing from, I need to build a business that prepares the tax returns, not go in there and prepare the tax returns myself. That's the biggest issue, where people move from the left quadrant to the right quadrant, move from working for their money to getting their money to work for them, is a mindset shift. If you can get that mindset shift, then everything falls into place. If you don't have that mindset shift, then it's a big struggle, because you're going to have, where you end up in life is as a consequence of the thousands and millions of decisions you make every day that accumulate, and you end up, you know, where you end up in life by those decisions you make. And the decisions you make it comes from the way you think. And I always say that the only difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is just simply the way they think. And that might sound very simplistic, but you know, it's not. How you think determines the decisions you make. The decisions you make determines the actions you take, and the actions you take determines the outcomes, and the outcomes determines where you end up in life. So start thinking the right way, start listening to the videos, and start reshaping the way you're thinking, and think the way Wize teaches, and then that will take you down the correct path.